Having a book cover that sells means having a book cover that is eye-catching, original, and screams what your book is about. Now, what exactly does that entail? Be sure to stay tuned for this entire video to find out. Hello everyone, my name is Mandi Lynn. I'm an author, book cover designer, and the creator of the Book Launch Planner. And if you like weekly videos on writing, book publishing, and book marketing, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload. So as a book cover designer myself, I of course wanted to talk about book cover design, the things that should be included in your book cover, and really thinking about what it is that causes someone to pick up a book and look at the blurb. Because though there is the saying, don't judge a book by its cover, I think we're all pretty aware that in reality, people do judge a book by its cover. So you need an eye-catching book cover in order to stop someone's attention long enough for them to want to learn more about the book. Now, in my opinion, there are 4 major things that really affect whether a book will be able to make a sale or not, and I'm going to be talking about those 4 things today. And now, of course, there are many things that come into account, but I really feel like these are the 4 major things. Now, since I'm a book cover designer myself, I will actually be showing you book covers that I have designed on screen that are kind of examples of what I'll be talking about. First and foremost, your book cover should make it extremely clear what genre your book is. Young adult fantasy books tend to be very colorful, they're eye-catching, they tend to have the main character on the book cover. One of the best things you can do to figure out what your genre book cover should look like is to go to the best-selling list on Amazon for your genre. So for example, Bethany Atazada is a good friend of mine, and we worked together to redesign her book covers to make sure they fit the genre even better. When you go to the best-selling list, you will find that fantasy retellings really thrive when there is a main character on the cover, especially if the main character is wearing a beautiful dress. So we redesigned the covers to match the genre even better. And another example would be Back Home by E.C. Woodham. Back Home is a beach read sort of novel, and that genre of book actually is very distinct. They almost always feature some sort of beach photo, whether that be a close-up or something from farther away that includes a character. And then the font is extremely simple. Overall, it's a very simple design. Sometimes you may be tempted to be super original with your cover or do something super fancy, but if you do that, then it won't technically match the genre of the book. So making sure you keep to the genre, that way someone knows what to expect when they pick up your book, is extremely important. Another thing to keep in mind is working with text. Now, I find the one thing that really sets professional covers apart from amateur covers is how the text is handled. A lot of the time when you see professional book covers, you'll notice that different things are done to the text, whether texture is added or the text maybe has been customized to add a tail or something to a letter to make it more elegant looking. When you're a graphic designer, you learn pretty quickly that you shouldn't treat text as text. You need to treat your text as imagery and use that to help design something. Some covers are extremely text-based in the fact that that is basically all they showcase. There's not so much going on in the background of the design, but the design is the text itself, and that's the focal point. Another thing you want to do is to create pop. Now, that's really what a lot of authors ask for. They just know they want their cover to pop. Now, what exactly does that mean? It can mean a lot of different things, but usually it comes down to contrast. And what I mean by contrast is that the design is not muted, whether that be the design is all blue or the design is all purple. Having contrast means that there is, of course, contrast, whether that be black and white, or if you do have a design where it's all blue tinted, that design has contrast between the tones of blue. Either way, if a cover has good contrast, if you look at it from far away, you're still able to see the overall image and it really does pop. If a cover doesn't have good contrast, when you look at it from far away, it kind of blurs into itself. Another good thing to try is looking at your cover in a black and white version, because black and white will really reveal whether or not your cover has good contrast. If it's all kind of different shades of gray, it means that your cover doesn't have good contrast. Last but not least, and this is maybe my favorite part, is to make it clean. Make sure that your cover is clean and professional looking, and sometimes by that I mean less is more. I have a lot of clients who will sometimes have a very specific scene in mind that they want on their book cover, and I've said it in the past that can just be really difficult to create, because unless you're working with a professional photographer who is taking photos for you that are custom for your book cover, it can be sometimes almost impossible to create a specific scene, because 9 times out of 10 your book cover designer is just working off of stock photography. Now, cover designers can work magic when it comes to Photoshop, but we can't do everything. And I also know that sometimes authors are so eager to have a cover designer that they just want to include everything in the design. However, when you include too many things, the design gets a little messy, and sometimes less is indeed more. A good example of this is J.L. Willow's book that I designed for her. She has an anthology coming out soon that is borderline horror, so we went ahead and designed a book cover to match. So you will notice that the cover is pretty simple. The text is simple. It's white. It's got good contrast because the background is very dark, and there's sort of claw marks, and in the back and in the foreground of those claw marks you can see a girl's eye, and that really gives it a creepy tone. And it's a perfect example of when less is more, because really this is a very simple design, but it speaks volumes. So those are some of the things that you should keep in mind when you are either working with a cover designer or designing a cover yourself. If you want to work with me to design your book cover or to professionally format your book, you can visit my website down below. I have examples of other book covers and book formatting in my portfolio. I have details on my prices and packages, and if you ever have any questions, you can feel free to message me. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below. You can also subscribe to my author newsletter. When you subscribe, you get access to printables, webinars, and excerpts of my books. So thank you all for watching, and be sure to subscribe.